Good afternoon, Sir William and everyone. Today we'll be discussing chemistry for engineers focusing on metals. We'll explore the structure, properties, and classification of metals. Metals are a vital part of our everyday lives. The word metalon, meaning mine or quarry, highlights their origin. Did you know that metals make up 25% of the Earth's crust? Their versatility allows them to be used in construction, tools, jewelry, and even appliances. Historically, metals like copper and gold have been in use since ancient times. The ability to refine and alloy metals has evolved significantly, enabling specialized application and modern industries.
Hello. Uh, okay. Um, so on this part, we will be tackling about the structures of metals. When we say metals, this composes the two-thirds of the periodic table. Either, but konti lang sa kanila doon is yung ginagamit mostly sa engineering. And not all metals were solid. Sabi nga dyan, meron tayong other metals, which are cesium, gallium, and mercury that are not solid at are some of or mercury being the only metal that is not solid at room temperature. So bali, so alam naman natin na ang metals were solid. Sabi ko nga except dyan sa tatlong nandyan sa slides. So it means metals are composed of atoms that were packed closely together. Yung kanilang yung kanilang arrangement were can be pictured as a grid. Yung grid na sinasabi natin na yun, that makes metals as a crystalline material. Ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng crystalline material? Ibig sabihin nun, ah, isa siyang isa siyang material na may structure na composed at closely packed. At yung grids na sinasabi natin is called crystal lattice, which is composed of identical unit cells. Next slide po. So we have here three different types of structure of metals. First, we have the hexagonal closed pack structure. This crystal structure has atoms occupying all corners of a hexagonal prism and one atom at the center of each of the two hexagonal faces. So as we see dito sa figure natin, meron tayong hexagonal shape base sa taas at sa baba. And then we can also see doon sa gitna, there are also atoms lying in there. Next po. Next is we have the face-centered cubic structure. Uh, this structure, there is one atom at the center of each of the six faces of the cube and 8 atoms at each corner. So nakikita po natin dito sa figure, cubic shape siya. And we have 8 corners and 6 faces. Each of those faces po is merong atom sa gitna. And last structure of metal is the body-centered cubic structure. In this crystal structure, we can imagine 8 of the metal atoms occupying all the corners of a cube and another atom at the very center of the cube. So ito po ang kinaibahan niya dun sa recent slide natin is etong BCC, isa lang yung atom niya and nandun siya sa pinakagitna. Hindi siya nandun sa gitna ng phases. Nandun siya mismo sa gitna nung unit cell.
So let's move on to properties of metals. Metals are known for several distinct properties. First, we have a metallic luster, the ability of metal to reflect light. It is the shiny appearance of metals when polished. Examples are the gold, rhodium, platinum. They are commonly used as decorations. The next is the high thermal and electrical conductivity. Metals conduct heat and electricity well because their mobile valence electrons transfer energy easily. Metals like copper, gold, and silver are excellent conductors since their electrons move freely. Examples are the copper. Copper is used in electrical wire because it is an excellent conductor of electricity, and silver is the best electrical conductor often used in electronics, and gold is used in microchips due to its high conductivity and resistant to corrosion. Next po. Next is the malleability, the ability of metal that can be hammered or rolled into thin sheets without breaking. An example is the aluminum foil. Aluminum is rolled into foil that's thin enough for cooking or packaging while still being durable and intact. And lastly, the ductility, the ability of metal that can be stretched and drawn into wires without damage or breakage. Example is copper. The ductility of copper makes it very useful as electrical wires. And gold is also a metal that is ductile. It is corrosion resistant, but it is rarely used as an electrical wire because gold is not abundant and is high cost.
Now, let's discuss how metals are classified into two, the ferrous metals and non-ferrous metals. First one is the ferrous metals. This contains iron and are widely used due to their strength and versatility, although they are prone to corrosion. We have examples of ferrous metals. The number one is pig iron. It is brittle and mainly used in steel making. We have also cast iron, strong but brittle also. It is used for machinery and pipes. Number three is the wrought iron. It is ductile and corrosion resistant. It is often used in gates and railings. And last but not least is steel, the most versatile ferrous metal, with over 3,500 grades tailored for various applications. There is also types of steel, should I say. There are two types of steel. Number one is the carbon steel. Based on carbon content, it is used in I-beams, bridge metal, tubings, and drill bits. The number two is alloy steel. It is stainless steel which contains chromium, resists corrosion, and is used in kitchen utensils and medical equipment. Move on to number two, non-ferrous metals. These are iron-free, making them corrosion-resistant and lightweight. Example of non-ferrous metals are number one, aluminum, lightweight and corrosion-resistant, ideal for aerospace and packaging. We have number two, copper. It is known for excellent electrical conductivity. It is used in wiring and plumbing. Number three is the titanium, a strong and lightweight. It's perfect for aerospace and biomedical uses. And then we have zinc, used in galvanizing to prevent corrosion. And last is lead. Though it's toxic, it is used in batteries and radiation shielding. In conclusion, ferrous metals contains iron, making them magnetic, strong, and versatile, though it's prone to corrosion. Non-ferrous metals, on the other hand, are non-magnetic, corrosion-resistant, and used in specialized industries.
Let's review the following topic na na-discuss kanina. So, kung hindi kayo nakinig kanina, ito lang yung summary. So, structure of metals have hexagonal closed pack or HCP structures, atoms occupying all corners of the hexagonal prism, plus one atom at the center of each of the two hexagonal faces. Next is we have face-centered cubic or FCC structure, one atom at the center of each of the six faces of the cube plus 8 atoms at each corner. Next is the body-centered cubic or BCC structure, 8 metal atoms occupying all corners of a cube plus 1 atom at the very center of the cube. So we have properties of metal. We have metallic cluster, high thermal and electrical conductivity, malleability, and ductility. Next slide po. Then we have two classifications of metals. We have ferrous. We have the example of pig iron, cast iron, wrought iron, steel, and carbon steel, and alloy steel. Next is yung non-ferrous. We have zinc, tin, lead, cobalt, nickel, etc., and their alloys. Now, metals can be categorized based on their structure and properties, their crystalline arrangement, HCP, FCC, and BCC, impact their behavior under stress. Key properties like cluster, conductivity, malleability, and ductility make them indispensable for a wide range of applications. Finally, metals are classified as ferrous or non-ferrous, with each type offering unique advantages based on composition and intended use. Thank you po.
Moving on po tayo sa next slide po. Plastics po tayo.
Good afternoon, everyone. Moving on to the next presentation about plastics, we'll be discussing a topic that's essential to both modern industry and our daily lives. It's polymers. These materials have completely transformed the way we live, known for their versatility and usefulness. Before we dive in, here's a simple fact about polymers. Did you know some polymers, like memory foams, can remember their shape and return to it after being stretched or compressed? Now, let's begin with an introduction to polymers led by my fellow groupmate Edward Caliboso.
Plastics are primarily polymers made from molecular chains with weight ranging from 10,000 to over a million grams per mole. These macromolecules are formed through polymerization, which bonds smaller units like monomers and oligomers into larger versatile structures. Plastics are made from natural or synthetic polymers, often enhanced with additives such as fibers, pigments, or fillers. These materials are lightweight, chemically resistant, and incredibly versatile. However, compared to metals or ceramics, they tend to have lower strength and melting points. Plastics are primarily composed of polymeric compound mixed with various additives for enhanced performance. Properties are low density, excellent chemical resistance, low melting points, and flexibility and plasticity.
Now we will tackle about the types of plastics. There are three types of plastics. The first is thermoplastic resins. Thermoplastics are plastics that soften when heated and harden on cooling without chemical changes. Para siyang candle wax, kahit ilang ulit mo siyang painitin at palamigin, hindi nagbabago yung composition niya. Yung structure niya, they're made of long polymer chains na intertwined pero hindi siya permanently bonded. Examples niya ay amorphous. Ang structure ng amorphous is walang organized structure. Madalas siya transparent. Crystalline naman, organized ang molecules. Mas matibay din siya. Application niya, makikita natin para siya. Mga examples niya, food packaging, mga toys. Next. The second is the thermoset resins. Thermosets are plastics na pag nag-harden na siya permanently kapag ininit dahil sa cross-linking ng polymer chains. Kapag nag-harden na rin siya, hindi na ito pwede i-reheat or i-reshape. Ang structure niya, ang polymer chains nito ay cross-link, interconnected network, kaya mas strong ito pero mas brittle. Application niya is yung mga circuit boards natin, heat-resistant utensils. Next. Elastomers. Elastic deformation capacity of more than 200%. Coil-like polymer chains allow reversible stretching, commonly known as rubbers. Ang mga application niya is yung mga tires ng sasakyan, seals at gaskets, shock absorbers. Yun lang. Next. Compounding of plastics. The process of mixing additives into base plastics to enhance properties. The key additives are resins, acts as a binder, fillers, improve strength, hardness, and workability. Plasticizat, enhance flexibility and reduce brittleness. Coloring agents for aesthetic appeal and protection. Next.
There are several ways to process plastics depending on the desired product. So here are the most common techniques. So first we have is calendering. Produces films or sheets by passing materials between rollers. And next we have is die casting. Die casting involves pouring plastics into molds to create solid objects like acrylics or polyester. Then we have film casting. Solvent evaporation forms thin films, just like cellophane. And a solution of a solution of plastic is poured into a moving belt. The solvent evaporates, then leaving behind the thin film. Compression molding, used for both thermosetting and thermoplastic materials. This technique shapes plastics under heat and pressure. Then we have injection molding. Forms products by heating resins in the molds. So injection molding, as you can see in the diagram, liquid plastic is injected into a mold where it hardens. Next we have is blow molding. A hollow form is created by expanding heated plastic with air pressure, ideal for making bottles. And finally, we have extrusion. Extrusion is a continuous manufacturing process used to shape materials such as plastics into long uniform products like tubes, films, and wires. One special process for producing films is illustrated in this figure. This figure illustrates the blown film extrusion process, where the thermoplastic polymer is extruded upward into a tube, expanded by air, cooled, and guided by rollers to form plastic films like bags.
Okay, so next up, we're going to tackle about important thermoplastics. And as what Mr. Makalintal said a while ago, thermoplastics are those which softens on heating and harden on cooling without chemical changes. But we need to know that there are important thermoplastics. Why are they important? Well, we may not know, pero ginagamit natin sila in our daily lives. So we are going to tackle 6 important thermoplastics. And please, Lisa, next. So number 1, we have polyethylene or PE. It is a polymerized ethylene, rigid, waxy, white, translucent, and nonpolar material. When we say nonpolar, it has no separation of charge, so no positive or negative poles are formed. It has good chemical resistance against acids, alkalis, and salt solutions, good insulating property but susceptible to organic solvents, particularly kerosene. When we mean naman susceptible, dun siya rumurupok or easily influenced or harmed by organic solvents, nga, particularly kerosene. And down here we have the chemical formula for polyethylene or PE. Next, please. So we have two types of polyethylene available, which is the low density polyethylene or LDPE. It has a branch structure and hence it is flexible and tough. On the other hand, we have high density polyethylene or HDPE, which is completely linear polymer, has a better chemical resistance, higher softening point, and greater rigidity but low impact strength siya. Next. So polyethylene sheets tube are manufactured which are used for domestic purposes. So saan siya usually nagagamit? For example, so we have toys, coating wires, and cables, bags for packing, bottles, bottle caps, and insulator since it is non-polar or it has no separation of positive or negative charges. Next up, we have number 2 or polypropylene. If we have PE, we also have PP. So it is obtained by polymerizing propylene in presence of Ziegler Natta catalyst. It is an isotactic, highly crystalline polymer. Well, isotactic means all the methyl groups are arranged along the same side of the polymer chain. So if you look closely, here's the chemical structure nyo dito sa side. Yan, yun po. Fibers of polypropylene are very strong, so it is superior to PE or polyethylene in terms of resistance to chemicals, hardness, strength, and moisture proofing quality. But despite of that, it is lightest among all high polymers. So where do we use this kind of plastic? Please move on to the next slide. We have sa outer packaging of Magic Sarap. If you're familiar with that, everyone naman siguro nakakita na ng outer packaging ng Magic Sarap. And we use it also in bags and apparels, so ropes also, carpets and blankets. So next. Next, we have the polyvinyl chloride or PVC. Everyone here naman siguro narinig na yung acronym na PVC. Or polyvinyl chloride nga pala, ngayon ko lang din nalaman. Vinyl chloride is the monomer for PVC. It is widely used plastic, and according to Google, it is the third most used plastic in the world. It is colorless, odorless, non-flammable, and chemically inert powder. It contains 53 to 55% chlorine and softens at around 80 degrees Celsius. It is resistant to water, light, oxygen, inorganic acids, and alkalis, but soluble in hot chlorinated hydrocarbons or what we call CHCs, which are the chemical compound na nagtataglay ng chlorine, carbon, and hydrogen. So this is the chemical structure. So where do we use it? For examples, we have cables, water hoses, toys, raincoats, tires, and pipes. Since yan nga yung plastic na yung softening point niya ay mataas-taas na rin. So perfect na siya sa pang maiinit or sala sa init, sala sa lamig. And for the next, Mr. Demetrio Ponce is going to discuss it.
Thank you, Janelle. And we'll now proceed to the number 4, polytetrafluoroethylene or Teflon. Teflon is obtained by polymerization of water emulsion of tetrafluoroethylene under pressure and in presence of benzoyl peroxide as catalyst. Has a strong interchain forces due to the presence of highly electronegative function and in the regular polymer structure, which give the material unique properties such as extreme toughness, high softening point, highly chemical resistance,
low coefficient of friction and waxy touch. And last, good mechanical and electrical properties. Example of Teflon: insulating motors, transformers, cable and wires, non-stick cookware, gaskets, tank linings, non-lubricating bearing, non-reactive coating. So, familiar naman kayo sa mga ito, no? Kasi nakikita ito sa mga bahay-bahay natin. So, we proceed to the number 5. Polyurethane. Cross-linked polymers made from two liquids, polyol and isocyante. It can be formed like polystyrene, but unlike thermicol, it is soft, spoony, known as U-foam, has low thermal conductivity.
That is read as polyurethane. Ha?
Sige sir, sorry po. Example of this is insulating material in refrigerators, pillows, and mattresses applied over leather. Number 6 and the last is nylon. Polyamides are synthetic polymers having a recurring amide groups, which have a structure similar to that polypeptides, high abrasion resistance, and is chemically stable, strong, tough, elastic, and can be dyed easily. Used for making fibers. Example of nylon is socks, undergarments, dresses, and carpets. And this is the plastic resin identification code. For the number 1 is polyethylene, terephthalate, or PET. The example of PET is the common products of this is soda and water bottles, cups, jars, trays, and clamshells. For the recycled products of PET is clothing, carpet, clamshells, soda and water bottles. And the number 2 is high density polyethylene or HDPE. Common products of this is milk jugs, detergent and shampoo bottles, flower pots, grocery bags. And the recycled products of HDPE is detergent bottles, flower pots, crates, pipe, and decking. Number 3, polyvinyl chloride or PVC. Common products of PVC is cleaning supply jugs, Paul liners, twine, sheeting, automotive product bottles, sheeting, and the recycled products of PVC is pipe, wall siding, binder, carpet, and flooring. For the number 4 is low density polyethylene or LDPE. Common products of LDPE is brand bags, paper towels and tissue, squeeze bottles, trash bags, 6-pack rings, and the recycled products of LDPE is trash bags, plastic tumbler, furniture, shipping envelopes, compost bins. Number 5, polypropylene or PP. Common products of PP is yogurt tubes, cups, juice bottles, straws, hangers, and shipping bags. The recycled products of PP is paint cans, and auto parts, food containers, and plant pots. And for the number 6 is polystyrene or PS. Common products of PS is containers, hot cups, razors, CD cases, shipping cushion, cartons, and trays. The recycled products of PS is picture frame, toys, tape, and dispensers. And the number 7 is other. Common product of other is polycarbonate, nylon, ABS, acrylic, safety glasses, and CDs. And the recycled product of this is electronic housing and auto parts.
Next up is the thermosetting resin. First up is the phenolic resin. They are a type of polymer material known for their rigid and hard nature, as well as their water resistance. They are resistant to non-oxidizing acids and organic solvents, but susceptible to alkalis. Widely used as a substitute for metal, where high tensile strength is not required. They are an inert material that can also be used as a substitute for glass and can also be used for making insulators. Moving on are the epoxy resin. They are commonly used in industrial applications such as adhesive bonding and paint, electrical industry due to their unique properties, making them ideal for a range of manufacturing process and product assembly. As a result, this makes them essential part of many industrial processes and provide reliable solution in various manufacturing applications. These are the unique properties of epoxy resin. They are adhesion to various metals, chemical inertness, stability at high temperatures, flexibility, toughness, and low shrinkage during cure. And last is the polyester. They are known for their high tensile strength, durability, and water resistance. Used for manufacturing synthetic fibers like terylene and dacron, which are used to make a variety of garments for men, women, and children. They can also be blended with wool for making materials.
Now, let's talk about elastomers. When we hear the word elastomers, we can think of it as being related to elastics because the word itself comes from their ability to stretch and return to their original shape. Next, please. So, a variety of natural and synthetic polymers called elastomers show a significant volume of elastic deformation as stress is applied. Rubber bands, car tires, O-rings, hoses, and electrical wire insulation are typical uses for these materials. Elastomers are sometimes referred to as rubbers because raw natural rubber is an elastomer. So in simpler words, elastomers are stretchy materials that can be pulled a lot and still go back to their original shape. So example natin yung garden hose na 'di ba minsan natatapakan natin. Tas over time bumabalik siya sa dati niyang shape. And sabi dito, they are used in things like rubber bands, car tires, hoses, and wire coatings. There are two types of rubbers. Next, please. One is the natural rubber. So natural rubber, it is a polymerized isoprene which occurs in the latex of various trees. It is soft and elastic and doesn't let air pass through, making it useful for things like tires, rubber bands, and hoses. So the molecular weight of raw rubber is about 100,000 to 150,000 and is made from different plants like Hevea brasiliensis. It is an amorphous solid, transparent, impervious to gases, and elastic in nature. Rubber slowly oxides when exposed to air and on heating. It softens and liquefies. Vulcanization, discovered by Charles Goodyear, is a process which is essentially compounding rubber with different chemicals like sulfur. Since the vulcanization process is treated with sulfur, it makes rubber tougher and longer lasting. This is because sulfur creates crosslinks that acts like tiny bridges to connect the molecules, therefore making the rubber tougher, elastic, and durable. So for the synthetic rubber, Tyron will present. Thank you.
Now we have synthetic rubber, the second type of elastomers. The first is polybutadiene. It is similar to polyisoprene, but the repeat unit has 4 carbon atoms consisting of 1 double bond. Polybutadiene is normally used as a toughening material to make other elastomers. It is mainly used for the manufacturing of tires, soles of shoes, insulating wires, and adhesive and lining for wheels. Next, we have butadiene styrene rubber. A simple explanation is these are the tires that we see on our cars. Next is butyl rubber, which is also known as polybutadiene. It is used for the inner tube for tires, vibration mounts, and as a weather stripping material. Last is polychloroprene or neoprene. It is a typical material for hoses and electrical insulation. It is also used for making conveyor belts, adhesives, gaskets, and for making pipes to carry corrosive gases and oils. For the key highlights, we have rubber. Natural rubber is cis polyisoprene and gutta-percha is trans polyisoprene. If you are not familiar with gutta-percha, it is a material used to fill root canals. Next is vulcanization, the process discovered by Charles Goodyear in 1839 to improve the quality of rubber by introducing sulfur at 100 degrees Celsius to 140 degrees Celsius to the double bond of rubber. Next is synthetic rubber, an elastomer produced artificially which can be stretched to twice its length but returns to its original shape. You can refer to the list below for the examples such as styrene, nitrile, and neoprene. Lastly is the compounding of rubber. It is the mixing of raw rubber with plasticizers, antioxidants, vulcanizing agents, fillers, colors, etc. It is to impart specific properties to the finished products. This ends our presentation about polymers. Thank you, sir, and thank you everyone for listening.
Alright, tapos na?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so you must be wondering kung ano yung sinasabi nilang double bond or single bond, ganun. So yung double bond na sinasabi doon, it pertains to the carbon-to-carbon bond. Okay, so we have what we call sa carbon na 4 ang kaya niyang i-accommodate na mag-bond sa kanya. Okay, so typically kailangan niya ng 4 na nakaband sa kanya. Ang butadiene na sinasabi nila, 2 double bond yun. So 4 yun. Okay? So it makes it more thermal resistant. So mas mahirap i-break down yun dahil mas maraming bond na kailangang i-break. Okay? So yung pinagsasabi ko, it is related to your organic chemistry later on. Di ko alam kung may organic chemistry kayo sa higher years ninyo. Pero about the ethylene, polyvinyl chloride, kung paano naging ganyan ang pangalan nila, paano naging ganyan ang structures nila, ay mapapag-aralan nyo sa organic chemistry nyo. If meron kayong organic chemistry. Okay? But you don't need to dwell on the structures of these polymers. You just have to know the properties and usage of these. Okay? So bakit ba natin pinapag-aralan ang properties of the metals, properties of your plastics, your polymers. Okay? Para saan ba yan? Is it really related to computer engineering? Diba? So, your chemistry for engineers ay minsan lang yan nakukuha ng mga college levels. So, it serves as review sa iba, sa ibang estudyante. It can also serve as, parang pa-end na subject or course para sa mga ibang engineering. Sa chemical engineering, parang introduction siya. Sa iba siguro, like computer engineering, siguro patapos na ng subject to. So, minsan lang siguro kayo mag-chemistry. So, since we are engineers later on, and engineers are related or more into work later on na tinkering, right? So tayo yung mga gumagawa from nothing to something. Okay, so I don't really understand the whole concept of computer engineering, pero ang alam ko, gagawa kayo ng something, di ba? And you need to have knowledge on the materials that you're going to use to build something, di ba? In order for you to know kung suitable ba ito sa gagawin ko, ganun. Kung metal ba ang gagamitin ko, which kind of metal ang gagamitin. Is it must be attracted to a magnet or not, di ba? So later on kasi, maybe you'll be working on companies that produce products like semiconductors, maybe wirings or panel boards or something like yung nasa loob ng cellphone, nanotechnologies, nano wirings like that. So what are the materials that you're going to use for that, diba? And still, mas maganda since napag-aralan ninyo, you will know yung kahinaan ng mga ito, kung gaano siya kalakas, yung strength, di ba? For example, sa paggawa siguro ng cellphone, sa yung parts ng loob ng cellphone natin, kung mapapansin ninyo noong unang panahon or unang paggawa ng mga cellphones, they are bulky, di ba? Mas malalaki na parang ang pangit tingnan sa generation natin ngayon. So, ang technology natin, it is parang mas pinapanipis and pinapagaan, right? And what is the reason for that? There is an evolution of materials, di ba? So, yung mga materials na mas magandang gamitin kaysa sa ito, kumbaga. So, napag-aralan ninyo kung para saan yung gold, para saan yung copper, para saan ba yung steel, how much carbon should be in a steel para sa isang application, and these elastomers, these natural rubbers, kailangan pa pala ng fillers to make fiberglasses, gano'n, di ba? So at least you know that now. So, at yung siguro yung pinakamagandang tandaanan ninyo ay yung mga labels ng recycle na parang up to 7 yun. Okay, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yung 7 others, yung 6 is polystyrene, 5 is PP, di ba? So yung unang mga tao kasi no, so I was acquainted with the thinking na kung ilan ang nakasulat dun sa triangle na yun yung time, yun yung dami ng time na pwede mo siyang i-recycle. Yun yung parang alam ko before ko to nalaman noong college ako. Pero yun pala, yung numbers na yun, it pertains to the material that is used for that, product. For example, yung bottle natin, water bottle. So, ang nakasulat doon siguro 1. So, PET yun. Okay? So, I need you to remember these lessons and maybe you can apply it to your professional life later on. Okay? So any question for the group from the other groups? Meron ba? Okay, so before I forget, thank you for your presentation, Group 3. It is good and fresh. At saka, I saw your creativity sa paggawa ng PowerPoint presentation. So I think you use Canva, di ba? Hindi yan tinuturo sa college. Nalalaman nyo lang din yung mga yan. Okay? So that is another skill for you to use later on. And thank you for the organized presentation. Hindi siya magulo, hindi siya kung saan napupunta. Okay? Thank you for that. So please, yung presentation ninyo, you need to send that to me and I will formulate a quiz from that and then quiz nyo sa Tuesday online. So anytime sa Tuesday naman siguro. Alright, any question? Hello, may question pa?
Sir,
Yes.
may tanong po ako, sir.
Hmm.
Yung mga nag-present po ba, sir, mag-quiz din po?
Of course, kailangan nyo din mag-quiz. So, mas maganda kung part nyo yung na sa quiz para at least that's your advantage.
Okay
Right?
po, sir. Po.
Okay. Right, so ang lecture na to ay ni-record ko pala. So may I ask for your permission to post it sa YouTube channel ko para, pagka graduate nyo siguro, pwede nyo balikan. This is a memory, I wish nga nung college ako may mga ganito at pabalikan ko yung kung gaano ba ako noon. Diba? So this is once in a lifetime siguro na mag-chemistry for engineers kayo. Kung papasa kayo Siyempre kung hindi kayo papasa, you need to get it again. Siguro ibang prof na rin. Alright? Okay lang ba na i-post ko to?
Okay lang po, sir. Pero may hati po ba kami sa bayad sa YouTube na, sir?
Walang bayad yun. Just so you know. Wala tayong bayad sa YouTube. Unless maging 1K ang subscriber ko, magkakaroon ako ng bayad, pero walang 1K. So, for lang to, academic purpose and memory lane siguro.
Okay po, sir. Thank you po.
Alright, so okay lang sa inyo, no?
Okay lang po, sir.
Alright. So, any question? Yung group leader pala, Mr. Villa, send mo sa akin PM mo na lang yung grades ng bawat group mates mo. Okay? Alright, thank you. So if there are no more questions, pwede na natin tong i-end. Diba? So see you again siguro next year. I hope to see you face-to-face next year.
Thank you po, sir.
Okay, goodbye class. Merry Christmas.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
Happy holidays, sir.
Happy holidays.
Ingat, sir. Ingat dyan sa
New Year, sir.
Ingat po, sir.
Hello po, sir.
Bye.